Hello, 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 everyone. This is Diamond J with Beyond the Glitter, and we are coming to you live. We're coming to you live with my guest, Myra Evans, in the house. Hi, Myra.
Hi, everybody. How y'all doing tonight?
Yeah, so I am so excited that you have joined us tonight. So we are talking about um, the riveting, right? The riveting show, the 50-part series show of Reesa Teesa,
Yes,
Aresa Tessa. How you say it, Aresa Tessa? So
ma'am. Resta Tessa, Risa Tisa, Misa Sisa.
right. So we are actually going to go well, we're live, but we're going to go and talk to the audience in discussion about this whole series, and let's just get some, you know, some thoughts out, some discussion, some gems. What can we learn from it? What can we know? What do we know? And I'm just excited to hear about that. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
I am Myra Evans, better known as Myra. That's me, Evans on Facebook, on Instagram. I am on Shop on the Budge. That is SHOP on ABUDG. For all your decorating needs, anything that you want to do in your home, if you want to refresh, if you want to upgrade, we can do all that now on a budget. So follow me there and get all your decor details. And if you have any personal questions, you can DM me or you can inbox me. You can, however you need to get to me, you can find the way. So on Facebook, you can't reach me anywhere because my account is private. But you can reach my other Facebook pages that are public. I am a mentor and the founder of Talk to Myra today. Talk to Myra today, which is TTMT, and then also Me My Eyewear, which I've had now for about 8 years. For those of you who don't know, they are hot sunnies on a budget, so you don't have to go spend 200-300 on a nice pair of glasses. You can buy some nice hot sunnies for less than $30. So check me out. You can find your nice hot sunnies at memyeyewear.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And listen, girl, I didn't even know that you do interior decorating. What?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I ain't even know nothing. You need to be coming over here and doing some things. Doing some things.
I love it. It's a passion of mine. I started it about 2 years ago, actually during COVID.
Okay.
Um, we couldn't get to the stores, and I always decorated for myself, but I've never like branched out and did it for other people. So, and also in addition to decorating, I also do flowers. So I do flowers for weddings, I do flowers for parties, and then I also do corporate arrangements. So how all that started was because we couldn't go to work during COVID. I was like, there's some things that I'm really passionate about. Let me see what I could tap into. So I just started arranging flowers. And then what I would do is I would go on Instagram and go live, and we would have like a night out. And I would have my girls go get the flowers. I would tell them what kind of arrangement I'm going to make that night.
Oh,
We
wow.
the music, I brought the vibes, I brought the candlelight, and we
Uh-huh.
would make flowers. And then I taught everybody how to not only make the arrangement, but also how to maintain it. A lot of people, they get flowers and then in 2 days they're dead. So I
Right.
taught people how to, which this was all free back then. But
Okay.
yesterday's price is not today's price. I don't do that for free anymore because
Right. Right.
it counts now. So, but that's where it all started. And then decorating, it's just, people see my work. I've done a few projects for free, but people just see my work and then they reach out to me and they're like, hey, I just don't know what to do. I want to see my boys' room just doesn't look, inviting. Can you give me some advice? And that's where my consulting comes in. So I have a very high passion for it. I love doing it. And so, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I just want to say thank you again for joining the show. We're getting into this series of Reesa Teesa, who the did I marry, right? So we're getting into that series and we're getting ready to talk about it. But first, I do want to say I think that he is online. I'm not sure if he left yet, but Rob has actually sent me a few people because I was like, you know what, let me just go ahead and see, let them see I'm taking interviews. And I was like, well, if I get people, I get people, what have you. Let me shoot my shot. And
Nice.
and he actually tagged a couple of people in. So thank you so much, Rob, for tagging those people.
Thank you, Rob.
Yes, and I'm actually going to be interviewing Kalima next week, and she has written a book similar to the story of Risa Tisa. And so I'm
Okay.
really excited about that. So she's written that book, and we're going to be diving in next week for her. So
Nice.
let's just get into it.
Let's get
So
into it.
did you watch the 50-part series?
So let me start by saying that you changed my life because normally around 4 in the morning, that's where my brain starts to work. And
Uh-huh.
your post came up. And I said, what is she talking about? Who did I marry?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, let me go to TikTok. And so I look at this thing and it's 50 episodes. So I was watching them, and then by the 10th episode, I was like, okay, I'm hooked, line, and sinker. Because
Okay.
it pivoted so many ways. And so I had to stop, I think at about maybe 19, take a break and go
Uh-huh.
because it's a lot. It's a lot to
Yeah.
take in. It's a lot to absorb. And with my analytical brain, I'm like third character in everything that she's saying because I'm like sitting, I'm looking, I'm thinking, I'm like, I know
Right.
like that. I know a person who went through that. Let's see where this goes. So
Uh-huh.
it's very intriguing. And
Okay,
I
cool.
went through the all 50 episodes. And if anyone out there, because I know a lot of people haven't seen it, a lot of
Right.
people have, but a lot of people have not. And if you have not seen it and you're interested, because it has hit the wave of the internet, it has gone completely viral. I believe she's up to 500,000 views on each episode. So that's a
Mhm.
lot.
Yeah.
So if you have not seen it, you need to head on over to TikTok. And I believe it's under just exactly what the title is. We can't curse on here, so um, just Google it and you'll
Yeah.
find it.
Under Reesa Teesa, right? It's her name. So definitely find her on there. So my experience was I'm watching it and I'm hearing people talk about it. And girl, I started at 8 p.m. and I was like,
Oh,
let me see what's going on. And then I'm watching from my phone, girl. I'm getting my covers. I'm in the bed to 3 a.m. I watched the
mm.
entire series
So
because,
you watched it in one sitting.
yes,
That's a lot.
it was a lot. And then I was like, oh Lord, this is it's overwhelming. It's a lot of
Mhm.
information. It's a lot to take in. So tell me, what part had you hooked? What part of the videos had you hooked?
So one, I have to give it up to her. She's an excellent storyteller. Um, it was so authentic. I think
Yeah.
that's what kept everyone captivated. It was very authentic. And throughout each episode, it's like you found somewhere at some point in your life going through the same thing that she's explaining. And I think for every woman, because I don't know about the guys who've watched it, but I think for every woman that has watched it, I believe that it could have been triggersome. And that's why, if you do watch it, it could trigger a whole lot of things, right? Because I have never been being on social media for this amount of years. I've never experienced someone sharing their life like that, where it was step by step by step, by date, by month, by moment. So that in itself kept me captivated because this is a real true story, right? So
Right.
for
And
me,
go ahead.
for me, um, I found all the episodes intriguing. And right when she was getting ready, like right when it got ready to end, it's like, dang it. And I'm like, swipe up. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next one. It was almost like, like a drug
Yeah.
because it was so relatable. And I think that's why she has drawn in this audience, is because one, she's real, she looks like us, she speaks like us. And the main thing is that I said, oh my gosh, she felt how we probably all feel. I'm the only one in the whole entire world going through the BS. So
Uh-huh.
I think for that, it was so liberating because at first when I was listening to her, I said, why would she share her whole life on social media? But
Right.
it was probably so liberating for her. And I think for the majority of the comments that she got back, I believe that she got good feedback. And she didn't know that, like she said, her motive was to touch one. Not many, but just one. And she definitely surpassed that. So
That's
that
good.
was intriguing for me.
So you said you mentioned about women, and this has been such a hot topic, a touchy subject,
Mhm.
that women are actually. I know you said that most of them feel like they have been through something like this before, but then you have the women that are out there saying, "She's a dummy, she's dumb, she didn't recognize the red flags." And in my thought, and I'm like, well, who hasn't made a decision? Who has ignored the red flags? Who hasn't done this before? And I just can't it just baffles me that women are out here speaking this way about this young woman who's saying, hey, I know that I missed the red flags,
Mhm.
but um, I mean, this is where I'm at. And she's being vulnerable, she's being transparent. But
Mhm.
you have these women who's like, look, I can't even, first of all, I can't watch Hi Kim. I can't watch the series because it's too long or what have you. And then you got other women that are, to me, that are supposed to be lifting our sisters up, or who
Mhm.
have said, this is what I do as my career, my profession. I lift women up. But then when this story came out, all you hear is them talking
Mhm.
about this young lady, saying that she was dumb. She shouldn't have done that. So what do you say to that?
Hey, Kim. Thanks for watching. What I say to them is that, see, we all can look from afar and we could always look in the glass window and say, oh, do this, or you should have did this, or you should have did that. But when it's actually happening to you directly, no one can explain the emotion, the roller coaster that this gentleman had put her on. And you have to go back to, this was during COVID, right? So I don't know about you guys, but I know COVID, I was locked down by myself. So that
Right.
in itself was traumatic, right? You couldn't really go anywhere. If you did go out, you had to go mask up, hat, this, that. Um, and so it was a traumatic time. And for someone who has never been locked down before, you're like, wait a minute. So by being online, I could truly see her vulnerable. She was looking for compassion. She wasn't the only one. So,
Because I was out there. I was
okay.
out there. I was out there on going on dates and met this person in the middle of he's like, we got to meet at Walmart, the parking lot, because we, like you said, we shut down. I'm going to go meet him. And he's like, well, hey, I mean, we ain't got nowhere. We can't go nowhere. So you're going to have to come to my house. And I was like, yeah. I didn't do it that time, right? But I have made some decisions. I have done some things that weren't, the right decisions. So yes, I do understand that she has done.
Hey, sugar.
Hey, so yes, so
Yes,
I have done.
yeah, so we all have done it. I don't think that she was dumb. I don't think she was stupid. She definitely was following her emotions and she was definitely following
Following
her
her heart.
heart. Now, of
Mhm.
course, after the fact that she has gone through this whole process, absolutely, she could have pinpointed and probably said red flag, red flag. They was waving like she can go back now and say, come on, I was intelligent. Why didn't I do this? Or why didn't I do that? But when you're in the moment and when it's happening, we could say what we want to say all day long. But when it's happening to you in the moment, you're not really, she's probably wasn't being so analytical because she wanted companionship. She wanted to believe that this guy was really who he said he was, like all the guys out here on these dating apps. You
Right.
know, just, they should call it fraud app. That's what they should call it, fraud app. And until you can identify and do the background check and get that green check, then they could go to the real app. But until everybody is fraud.
Right. So let me ask you this. I mean, I've been out there dating, and God knows y'all done heard my dating chronicles, right? Girl, girl, they are true. And people be like, well, you're going out on these dates, and they enjoyed just like they enjoyed her stories. I was keeping up, and everybody was following my dating chronicles, and they were like, I cannot believe that these people are out here. And I think that it highlights, when people are telling their story, it highlights what's really out here. And I
Right.
don't think that a lot of people really understand that when you're out here dating, when you're out here talking to new people, getting to know people, you're meeting. I'll just say this: one of the statistics says that you walk past a psychopath, 7 out of every 7 people you walk past is a psychopath. 1 out of the 7 people is a psychopath. Now, we walk past a lot of people, but people
Yeah.
look for people that are psychopaths, sociopaths, that are killers, or they're doing these major things. And this is right below our nose. Like, it's right in our face, right? Like that Camila's book, it's hidden in plain sight. Like, what? These are the people that we're dealing with. So yes, what do you say about the vetting piece? How would you tell somebody in this day and age? We're not being traditional. We're not going, because we're not doing that no more. People are not doing those things anymore. So what advice would you give to a woman who needs to be, who has to go out there and vet? Because I think that's where the big pieces that we're missing.
I
Women
should
and men
work,
don't know how to vet.
work for the CIA. Okay. Because I am diligent in digging. Diligent. And this is what the women have to do these days. It is not hard. If you truly want to get a census of who somebody is, you can really find that out in a matter of 30 minutes. Um, it just depends on what level and how much information you want to give this new person. Now, I say this is a different time, and I guess we need to bump up with the times. Most of the people are meeting people online. Online is a pool of fish that most of the pool is rotten. You have most guys in here that are traumatized. They have trauma. They have issues. They're fraudulent. They don't look. They post a picture from 10 years ago. They're not really who they are. Or you meet them and they say that they're athletic and they freaking got grandpa's belly. It's just so much disheartening lying that happens. So I say if you really meet a true, authentic person, and you really want to have a relationship and you want to invest, because that's really what you're doing, investing your time, investing your effort, investing your heart, do your due diligence and investigate this human being. And when I say from the beginning to the end, let's go back. Who is your mama and who is your papa? I want to meet them, because if you meet the mother and the father, you basically can sum up who that person really is. I don't care what anybody says. You are the root of your parents. So if you want to see where the fruit falls, you need to go meet their parents. Now, obviously, if they're not here any longer, then you go talk to someone else in the family. Go talk to a sister. Go talk to a brother. She wasn't able to do that because it was during COVID, but I would have been on the phone. I would have been like, okay, you said Susie is your sister. So Susie, tell me about your family. Tell me about your mom. Tell me about your dad. Ask the important questions. So I would start there, meeting the family, because the family is going to give you the truth.
Okay, so Tavia says, good topic, relationships. Women sometimes fail to notice warning signs when entering into a new romantic partnership. They can become so entranced by their partner, especially if the person embodies qualities or experiences that are new to them. Consequently, these warning signs may go unnoticed or unaddressed. In some cases, men purposely reveal these red flags to test the women's reactions, using the information to gauge what behaviors they have, or I'm sorry, what behaviors they can get away with as long as they continue. That's a good point, Tavia. Thank you so much for sharing that, because it is a good point that I can remember. I can remember when I was out there dating, and I was out there in that field and dating, and I met this guy who was actually saying, "Hey, I want to settle down. I want a family." Well, prior to that, nobody was saying that. And I was like, oh, this is good. This guy wants to have a family. He wants to get married. But the red flag for me was he was asking me to marry him in 3 months. So I was like, that's flattering. I know I said I want to be in a relationship, but dang, not that fast. Wait, I don't even know you like that. So you're taken back. You love the feelings. You love, like you said, you love the emotions and everything like that, but you're kind of taken back because now you have somebody who's doing things that has never been done. So you love that feeling, like you love that emotion, you love that feeling, and you kind of, like you said, you're leading with your emotions, Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about how you're going to go talk to these people. And listen, she was trying to talk to the people, but he on the phone for 30, 40 minutes saying, talking to the imaginary friends.
Well, what I find intriguing, and
I think he's frozen.
I don't know at what, huh? I'm frozen.
Yeah.
It's frozen.
Now it's back. Okay, good.
Sorry about that, guys. This gentleman who came from Philly and went to Georgia. Let me tell you, all that stuff he was saying to her was too damn good to be true from the beginning. So that's where a woman, and this is what I want women out here, because I'm seasoned, y'all. I'm an old foot, honey, and I'm gonna say it like how I mean it and say it like how I want it. You have to do the due diligence and look through the smoke and mirrors, okay? Because if it is too good to be true, it ain't true. Okay, he was a ball player in San Diego. Google him. Google Schmoogle. Okay, he said he. Wait a minute. I don't see. Honey, hey, babe, show me where you played again. Call him out on nothing. Nothing.
What do you have to lose at this point? Because you're just now getting to know the person.
This is in the beginning. So you said, oh, babe, I was on the internet and I was looking through your school that you played with. I don't see your picture. Where your picture?
But he a private citizen, though.
Private citizen,
He said his dad paid for him to be a private citizen. So,
Now,
but
let
see,
me
here's
tell you, that was a good one.
that's
I
what I'm
gotta give it
saying.
to him. That was a good one. However, ladies, he's not Mark Cuban.
Right.
He is not a high profile celebrity. So private citizen is not issued to a Joe Schmo. Okay. So that's another tidbit. That's another gem. You cannot just become a private citizen just because you just want your name just not
To be
to appear
private.
there. You can, however, yes, you can get your name hidden from certain records. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you have been abused, if you have been harassed, if you have been, there has to be extreme circumstances other than being a celebrity. Celebrities have all right to hide their information, but
Right.
private citizen, no. What made you? Why were you the private citizen? Why?
Right. Right. So I think that I want to go into the discussion of her of women, pretty much. Is it because they you feel like she had low self-esteem? Do you feel like she was just accepting anybody? Um, do you feel like that? And here's another point that somebody brought to me. It was a male figure. He brought this up to me and he said, a lot of times what men will do is they will go after the women who are obese, who are bigger. They will go after those women because they have low self-esteem and they
Mhm.
know how to trigger. And she asked him the question. She said, why did you pick me? Why did you want to
Right.
marry me? Right. And he said, I knew, and he said this, I knew if I didn't marry you within a year, I wasn't going to be able to keep you. He
Mhm.
knew that. So I think this is a subject that people don't really go in and talk about is how men are able to pick you out and sift you and say, hey, I'm picking this person because basically they have low self-esteem or I can get over on them. What do you think about that? What are your
Well,
thoughts on that?
it's just like, women that are in these abusive relationships, right? And again, this could be trigger warnings for people. So if it is a trigger warning, please tap out. This can be the same scenario as abusive relationships. Men know how to pick women that have been abused and vice versa. And so that's why you get the oil and fire because they know how to prey on you and you know how to prey on them. But
Absolutely.
9 times out of 10, the man knows how to prey on the woman more just because of that simple fact that she does have low self esteem. She feels because he beats her butt that he loves her.
Right.
Oh, if I just didn't do something right, so that's why he beat me. So he knew the type of woman that he could do this foolery because this is exactly what this was, foolery. Um, he knew that he could target her in many ways. And you have to remember, this was mass manipulation,
Right.
mass, right? And so he did this. He was so strategic. And this,
Hmm.
if you don't have your wits about you, if you don't, which this is that's the tricky part with her because she was intelligent. And when it got to maybe about episode 7, I'm like, well, damn, honey, when is it going to click in? Because I see the
Right.
flags. So again, being in it and looking from afar, it's easier to judge. But
Right.
he manipulated her in stages. In stages. He coordinated this whole process, which I say he's almost a genius. Almost, because she went along for the ride, but he messed up. He messed up, and then she started to, oh, okay, let me see what's going on here. But just think if she wasn't as intelligent, look how far
Right.
gone went. So I say that to say her intelligence and what she wanted in her heart. What she wanted in her heart superseded her intelligence because she let what happened go on
Right.
just too long. I think an average woman would have probably about an episode 8 would have been like, nah, this ain't, check out. Like, people do on these dates. If they meet a guy, by 3 dates, something ain't clicking. All right, bye, block. And you're over and you move on to the next. She just
Okay.
really wanted love. She wanted the marriage. She wanted to see what that felt like. So that her emotions just superseded her intelligence.
All right. So Samaj wants to know how to join the live. Samaj, I sent you the link to your messenger, Facebook Messenger. So if you want to come on live with us, you can. And that will give us another male perspective, right? So that's good. So if you want to come on live, check your messenger and tap in with us. So for those of you that are just joining, we are talking about the 50-part riveting series of Who the Did I Marry on TikTok. And man, I'm enjoying the conversation. Are you guys enjoying the conversation? I'm hoping you are. I'm hoping that you're getting some tidbits from what we can kind of glean from the series and what we're actually talking about and how we can kind of move forward. What can we look for? The things that we can see, so I'm hoping that we are touching and helping somebody. Like Reesa Teesa says, if we can
Yes.
just help one person,
One
if we can
person.
just get the word out, because I think that a lot of times what happens is I'm a person, and people used to tell me this all the time. They were like, Felicia, why are you sharing your business on social media? And my thing was the whole thing when I wrote the book, I'm Fine, a Woman's Silent Cry. I'm fine, a woman's silent cry, right? So we always walking around saying we're fine, but we really not. So my thing was at that point was to tell the story and get other women to share their story. And I got 9 other women to share their story in that book because a lot of people don't want to share their story. They don't want to feel embarrassed. They don't want to feel like they made these decisions because if they will do it to her, and I don't think she was ready for it, but if they will do it to her, they will do it to you. And
Right.
I'm kind of watching my social media friends or followings, and I'm looking at their comments and I'm watching their comments and stuff, and I'm looking at how they're coming across, what they're saying, because it's pure evidence of you're not about women's empowerment. You're not about lifting other people up, regardless if they made the decisions that they made. I can't think of one person who hasn't made a dumb decision or missed a red flag or moved on their emotions when they were in love. I can't think of not one person. We all have done it. Whether you want to admit it or not, whether you have jumped your game up a little bit and you learn from these mistakes, you learn from these experiences, but to say she's dumb, she's certified dummy, to say all these crazy things. I think it's so it tells more of who you are,
Right.
you know.
And there's a lot of women, right? So a lot of women, everybody has their opinion. This is social media. Everybody has what they want to say, what they think their story is right, but nobody's
Yeah.
really aired their story like this before. So it's easy for people to say what they feel or what they think. I think she has changed the game. I think she had put awareness more for
Yeah.
women. I applaud her for what she has done. And you can perceive what she has done in many ways.
Yeah.
How it impacts your life is what you took away from it. And what I took away from it is that she felt a need to share. She felt a need because
Yeah.
I understand in your head, you're thinking a plethora of things of why you did what you did. And I'm sure she probably maybe discussed it with her friends or she discussed it with her family. But you always ask that question: Was I am I was I stupid?
Mm-hmm.
why would I have done, like looking back at it, not being in it, but looking back at it? Why did I do what I did? So I think with the outpour of love, because I say the love superseded the negative comments, I feel that it's almost, I think, for validation too, as well, that she know that she was not alone in this process.
Thank you so much for that. So we now have Jim, who has joined us.
Hi,
Hi,
Jim.
Jim.
Hi.
So let us know how you feel about this series. We got Kim in the NYC in the building. Hi, Kim. Thank you
Hey,
for listening from
Kim.
New York City. Did you hear
Okay.
me?
Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize because this wasn't planned for me to come on, so I didn't have a lot of prep time. So I don't know if you were talking to me or you just introducing everybody or exactly where you're at. And
Well, you are on live, so we can
sure.
see you, we can
Okay.
hear you. So what are your thoughts as a male from your perspective? Kim says, don't be shy now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
Can you guys hear him?
Yes, a little bit. Speak a little louder.
okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think there was some great, I think there was a few lessons to take away from it. When I first started watching the series, um, of course, and I don't know how many females are on versus males, but of course, as a male, I'm going to see it from a male's perspective. And I was kind of looking at it, it kind of started off being a little boring, mundane in the beginning. And I kind of thought to myself, here we go, the same old story, somebody's telling their story. Um, First of all, for her, I thought it was great that she did it. I thought it served as a form of therapy for her. I thought it was very therapeutic. Uh, from a male's perspective, I can tell you that I'm going to give away a tip for the ladies, right? I can tell you that this happens a lot.
Mm.
I can tell you that from a male's perspective, it happens a lot. I could almost see it coming. In other words, I could almost see the end. I, I think he goes into the area. She calls him a pathological liar, but under let's see, I think it's pathological liars, narcissism, narcissistic personality disorder. They all fall up under psycho. Oh, what's the term? Not psychopath. Psychopaths. Now, I can't remember your name, but I kind of caught a little bit of what you were saying earlier, um, in which you were saying that he was very manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
I think he knew what he was doing. I don't think we should give him so much credit because it's in that area of being psycho. Uh, Towards the end, and I know I'm jumping around, towards the end, remember when she asked him, hey, well, why did you marry me? Why did you take me through all of this? And remember his response was something to the effect like, I knew I had to get you right away because I wasn't going to be able to keep you for a year, or he said something to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He knew, see, he knows that he has a problem. What happened is he had already done. Remember, she said, this guy has no friends. Uh, his family was against him. His brothers was against him. He owed people money. This was a bad guy. What he knew is that he had to marry her because once he married her, it's a whole lot harder to get out of it the deeper she goes into it. So if he married her, if he impregnated her, it would have been very, very difficult for her to get out of it. So good thing the pregnancies, I think she was pregnant twice, if I remember.
I think it was once.
It
Was
was
it
only
once?
one
Okay.
time.
But think
Yeah.
about it. And then I think he moved in with her like a
2 weeks.
less than a month later.
Yeah. Within 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah. So the way I connect the dots on this is look at what his history was like. Everyone in this guy's life, nobody had anything good to say about him. So he had to snatch her up real quick. One of the key points that you made, and I can't think of your name, so I apologize.
Myself or Diamond J.
So I know Diamond J, but
Myra.
yourself. What's your
Myra.
name?
Myra.
Myra. Okay.
He
So
write my name down.
Huh?
I said he's writing my name down.
yeah, because I can, Diamond J can probably. I'm kind of putting this all together like
Okay.
impromptu and on the spot. But he had no friends, and when you start to get into the people that are in that psycho area, see they do know what they're doing. Did I lose you?
I can hear you.
Yeah. So they know what they're doing. So he had to act really, really quick. And he saw her as being very, very vulnerable.
Yeah.
And he could read that. And you know what? We can read that right away. We can read that right away. So I won't keep talking. You can just kind of, maybe y'all can ask me questions, I think, from a male's perspective. But I can tell you that this happens a lot. And I can also tell you it happens, guys. I've heard guys actually voice this. In other words, they voice this plan. And I can tell you some of the stuff they say. He's like, yeah, I like to get them when their self-esteem is down, when they don't feel good about themselves, because then you can get anything that you want.
Right.
And it does
Right.
happen. So I don't know if we give him so much credit because he is psycho. He's a pathological liar. He did get a rise out of leading her on. And you know what? He has no emotions and he has no feelings. So he never felt bad about it.
Right.
And I'm going to say
That
one
part.
last thing. And again, I'm kind of open for questions. The one place that he threw me off, the one action that he did was that he paid all the bills. And
Yeah.
I think that's very contrary to that behavior because they're
Right.
always taking everything and they never give anything back. There's no reciprocity. That was
Right.
the
Said
biggest
he
thing that
was
threw
a
me off.
genius.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Strategically planned. He
Well,
strategic. So
sure.
because that's really what roped her in,
Yes.
and
Right.
and he wouldn't have been able to do that with a woman who was financially secure.
Right.
So because she was probably in need of finances, she was quick to make decisions that an average woman would have thought about. Why does this man want to move in with me? Oh, he gonna pay the bills? Okay. Well,
Sure.
Well, I think that she was financially stable. She worked with the patrol, so she made pretty good money. Her bills just wasn't that much. And so he could come in and say that he was a regional manager when he really wasn't, but he was able to afford her bills. So he was working, but he was able to afford her bills. So I think that she kind of felt like, not that she couldn't pay her own bills, but it was more of a relief. Man, now I can spend my
Yeah.
money and do what I want to do.
mhm.
Like now he can take care of the bills. She pretty much said my money is my money.
Yeah.
I just want to stop here and interject. If anyone has any questions for Myra or what's your name, Jim, let me know. Let me know if you have any questions. Type it in the comments. We can answer your questions, what have you. So that way we can kind of move on. Is there any part of the series, Myra, that you want to talk about? Like the pieces that you may think that were significant?
There was a lot of episodes that were significant. One saying that his parents were deceased.
Uh-huh.
So
He done
that
killed a lot of people.
that's kind of scary, right? Because I've been taught you speak things like that off of the tongue and it can possibly happen. So for him to have said that, how heartless of a human being. That's what I was saying to myself. So if you lied about something like that, what
Right.
wouldn't you lie about? So after her speaking with I believe it was his sister or his brother, the one that had the so-called daughter named Egypt.
Mhm.
Right.
Egypt.
So that was, she was like, no, my parents wasn't a pastor. No,
Mhm.
my father wasn't a correction officer. Like he lied about and what I was asking myself too is I wonder if he did this to anybody else.
Right.
That's another question. Are there any other women? I'm waiting for them to come forward. He did
Right.
this to me too, because she said something important about after the fact that she didn't think he had any place to stay. And so she found all those tickets that he was supposed to do jail time on the weekend.
Mhm.
Right.
Maybe he hunted on that dating app.
Right.
He hunted for some place to land. And strategic. This is all strategic. Imagine this is probably was like his job. Let me find out who I could go get over on. And the whole house thing, that's another thing. The house thing kind of threw me off because, well, if you never bought a house, you don't know what entails going with a house. But
Mhm.
certainly that first time when she checked and saw that it was off the market, that was like 5 red flags. And she didn't do her due diligence. I think there were certain points of her story where she could have just said, pause, enough is enough. Let me stop. Let me regroup. Let me do what I need to do. Let me start dotting all these I's and crossing all these T's. I think she waited. And that's what I want our audience to get from this. If that red flag is waving, check it. Don't
Mhm.
dismiss it. It's waving for a reason. So
Right.
listen to your inner gut. I tell you, your inner gut never steers you wrong. If you think it, 9 times out of 10, it is correct. We have been born with this gift. Men don't know we have it, but we have it. So when the red flags was waving, she should have paused and regrouped and say, okay, wait a minute. Because I think for 2 weeks, I don't know. I can't picture a man laying in my bed after 2 weeks. I'm sorry, especially in this time. Maybe back in the day, but in this time, absolutely not. People are crazy. She could have had a murderer. She just, I feel, she didn't check him out enough. She didn't do what she needed to do. And if you're in this game where you have to, if you're in the dating pool and you're online and you meet someone, do your due diligence. That's what you need to do. Really check out the person. And it's not hard these days. Trust me, public records. It's not
Right.
hard. And I know we like the good girls like bad boys, but even the bad boys, I mean, some of them are still good. But you just have to, check them out. Check them out. Go find their mama and their daddy.
I think one thing that Jim said, that we have to really, really vet the person, and I think that we're not doing that. And the other thing that you mentioned that we keep forgetting, because we're not accustomed to thinking this way, is that he is a psychopath. We're
Mm-hmm.
not accustomed with these terms, so that people are not really thinking that way. All they can say is that he's crazy or he's this. But once you start to learn the psychological terms, We've already beat to death the narcissist, right? We've already beat to death that term. We've already beat to death the bipolar, but we haven't really delved into, as a community, as a society, of what a real psychopath is and
Yeah.
what they do, what are their characteristics. And I think that would be something that, if I could tell anybody tonight, is that would be your homework, to go look up sociopath, go look up their characteristics, go look up psychopath, and go look up their characteristics, right? Go and start to look up some of these characteristics so that you can educate yourself and have an intellectual conversation besides saying somebody's dumb. Then that way you can kind of know, okay, they're not dumb, they have a mental problem, right? They got a mental problem.
Right.
Jim, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
If you want to answer Kim's question, why do good girls like bad boys? And then you can go into what you want to ask or say.
You gonna let Myra ask it, or answer
You.
it? Well,
she already did. Go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay, because I wanna take a couple steps back and just kind of counterbalance a few points. And number one, I would say it's, hindsight's a wonderful educator, and no one will ever be able to pull that off on her again. So we have to remember that we're evaluating and analyzing this after she has told the story. There's a saying that goes that not even money has made as many fools as love. So, Myra, when you were talking about, and it's, none of this is wrong, so pardon me if I kind of come across like that. There were some trade-offs when you say, like you mentioned, you say, hey, I would never let a guy sleep in my bed, whatever, right? But there were some trade-offs. And one of the convincing a couple of the trade-offs was, remember, she's found this guy that wanted to be with her. She said that she'd only dealt with 4 guys. Now she finds this guy that wants to be with her. The endorphins are going, the energy's going, the self-esteem is going. It's like, you know what? I've scored a touchdown. Then what was big is like, we're gonna have a baby. I mean, that's an emotional investment. This guy wants to have a baby with me. He's talking about getting married with me, married to me. And then, even though she didn't know it at the time, he pops up and shows her a letter from Bank of America that says he's been pre-approved for $765,000 house. So sure, she didn't do her due diligence, but then she's also never bought a house before.
Right.
And just kind of, in my opinion, I don't know how to say this. It might come across wrong, but she's kind of a country girl that hasn't been around, doesn't have a whole lot of experience. And remember, none of us have this dating thing down to science. We don't have it right anyway. So now you have this guy that sells himself very well. And remember, two big emotional investments, technically 3, because he's done moved in. Oh, and let's not forget, she's driving there, and then the tire blows out. Oh, where are you at? I need to come take care of you. That's security for a woman. This guy shows up, changes her flat, takes care of everything. You're starting to emotionally invest. It's like, you know what? Maybe this person really does care.
But how can you say care? That to me, somebody coming to fix a flat is not caring. That is just someone who has a kind heart and says, "Oh, woman is in need. Let me come and help her." I don't think you can equate that because he came running to help her with her car. That's again too, that I think that's where the low self-esteem came in, because things happen too quickly. It happened too quickly. And I found my, what is it? Find a horse. He came, found me on a white horse or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The long gone are those days, because now the time has changed. People have changed. People's mental have changed.
Yeah.
So you just need to do a little bit more due diligence on who you're, it's not even just a man, even women too. even women too, as when you're meeting new people, that's why I say no new friends. I don't feel like going through that genre of getting to know people all over in life again. Those days are over, because people, you don't know what people's intentions are. You don't know what their personal gain is. So that's my immediate question in my head. Why does she want to hang out with me, or why does he want to be with me so bad? Why he wants to? What's so special? I would start asking myself those questions.
Yeah.
And I don't think she just asked enough questions. I think she just led totally with her heart instead of
Yeah.
her.
You know what? And it's not a science in terms of saying, when I use the term care, but the thing is that every time I do something for you or you do something for me, that's an emotional deposit.
Mm-hmm.
So now I tell you that I'm going to move in with you, then you might raise one eye and say, you know what, I don't know about that. But when I say, you know what, I'll pay all of your bills. If I move in and I don't pay your bills, then I have not upheld my promise. Once
Mm-hmm.
I start paying your bills and I do that on a consistent basis, those are more emotional deposits. There's
It's
some
attractive.
consistency there. Yeah. And so then, and to me, it's like motherhood. Oh my God, we're pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to marry you. Look,
Yeah.
$765,000. I played pro football, semi-pro football, arena league football. I have offshore account. I have
That was
such a
another red flag. Who
yeah,
has who of us, how many do you know on one hand have offshore bank accounts? Right then and there, I would have been on the Google schmoogler. What's what's your middle initial again? I checked him out. When I didn't see nothing come back in the Google schmoogler, I'm looking at him while he's sleeping, and I'm in all the bags.
yeah.
I'm looking driver's license. She should have did more work.
Well,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna step off to the left a little bit because uh, Diamond J knows me, and
Oh, you know that.
she will
Thought we
call
had
me.
a guest that didn't know either one of us.
Well, she
Jim
knows a little bit about me,
there.
but I am. Some people would almost call me paranoid because I question everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I wasn't like that day one. I've had to go through a lot to get to where I'm at. So I've had to get, pardon the expression, bamboozled, and I know what people can do. Um, I'm not, I have a master's degree in human relations, so I've studied a lot about psychology. Do you know it said that every person will walk by 7 psychopaths per day.
Mm-hmm.
So if I don't go outside, that means that somebody's picking up my seven, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
that's not a factual statistic. There's no way to objectify that. But you
Mm-hmm.
know what? It's something that you should be aware of.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't matter who you meet. Even if I meet another male friend, I still want to know about this cat.
Right.
You see what I mean? So it doesn't matter. Even if I meet a platonic female friend, I want to know what's going on. But
Exactly.
guess what? I've had to go through some things in life, traveling all over the world. I don't know, 20 some odd different countries, all over the US, people from New York, people from California, all over. So, but I had to get to that point because I can tell you at the age of 30, 40, 42, I wasn't there. And you could have bamboozled me.
I just want to say, I hear a lot of men, and it's not everyone, but I do hear quite a few men that say that they were not there until their 40s. They weren't clicking. There's just a lot of things that happen, a lot of, you just they haven't experienced a lot of experiences or haven't been through a lot of things up until the age of 40. And now you can start to piece the pieces together. Eliana says, as soon as I got my wife's name, I looked up her entire family.
That part.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's the thing. I'll interject with this story a little bit, but I did my due diligence, and I'm going to tell this real quick. But I did my due diligence on when I was dating this guy, right? And when I was dating this guy, I met this guy, and just like Reesa, she was saying, it was a good feeling. We had a good time. He wasn't the best looking guy, but you know what? You always try to say, well, it's not about looks or whatever, And so we would go out to drink, and we would go to happy hour. He would pay for all this stuff. And I'm just like, again, like Jim said, I'm out here thinking that this is just the greatest thing, because most of the guys that I've been out with acting crazy. They don't want to pay. They don't want to do this. So in your mind, you already think, oh, okay, might be a good guy. This might be a good guy. So things start to get a little bit serious, right? So he says, hey, I gotta run by my place, and I gotta run by my place, and I gotta get something, because we were on our way to somewhere, and I can't remember where we were going, right? And we get there, and it's like a hotel, like a refurbished Motel 6. So in my mind, I'm like, dude don't really live here. What is really going on? Why he living in a hotel? So once you start to get this information, you're kind of like, okay, let me just see what he gonna say. He says, well, I work at the airport, and we do construction at the airport, right? And he's like, so basically, construction, yeah, refurbished, girl. It wasn't a Motel 6, but it would look like a Motel 6. And so we go in, and he's going on, and he's like, listen, the reason why I don't have an apartment is because I work construction, and construction is always in and out, right? You don't always have a
That's
thing.
A good one.
It was a good one, right?
That was a good one.
Okay. He's like, because when I go in and get an apartment, they want you to sign a 6-month lease. Sometimes I don't have 6 months worth of work, to stay into the apartment. So I got to do what I got to do. So I was like, okay. So we ended up going out dating and this and that. And what happened is when I get serious about somebody, I'm going to do a background check, right? Like somebody mentioned the other day, they was like, background check costs $30 or however much it costs. I'm going to pay and find out what I'm dealing with. So I look him up with his name. I look him up where he's from. I do 2 background checks, because I got to do one for Louisiana and I got to do one for Texas, right? So I do 2 background checks, and I don't care about being $60 or whatever, because I want to find out what's going on.
Right.
I found no information on this guy. I asked him, I think I did my due diligence thinking, hey, have you ever been to jail? Have you ever been to prison? He was like, no. Okay. So when I meet his mom, I'm asking the same things. I feel like I'm doing all that I can do with my due diligence. Come to find out, one day he comes to, I can't find anything on the guy, right? He comes to my apartment, and I was supposed to be cooking. And he comes to my apartment, and he calls me, and he says, hey, listen, I'm not going to be able to make it. He says, I'm right outside your door, but the feds got me. The feds? So you can wonder about my surprise, like, what you talking about, the feds? Like, I don't know what? He's like, so I need you to run down to the jail and pick up my stuff and this and that. And I'm like, how the hell did I get into this?
Yeah.
So he's saying, hey, I need you to, get my stuff and this and that. It was the worst. It was one of the worst nightmares of my life, right? It wasn't a Reesa Teesa story, but it damn sure was close. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, how did I do this?
Let me ask you something. When you didn't find anything on him, what did you say to yourself? That you just nothing was there?
I said, well, if I did, I said, well, maybe he's telling the truth. There's nothing on him.
There has to be.
It came up. It came up where he was from. Yes, that stuff came
Oh,
up. Like,
okay, but
you know,
nothing,
like
nothing
where he
else.
said he was from, it was there. You know, like he said he was from New Orleans or whatever. That piece was there. You know, so
Okay.
I'm thinking everything that he's saying is panning out. Well, we get there, he's like, "Well, I didn't lie to you. I don't have a case. I've never been to prison and I've never been to jail. I never lied to you." He said, "But I do have a pending case. We just haven't been convicted." What?
Mm-hmm.
You see, you know, I'm just like, I didn't ask. I feel duped. I feel dumb. I feel like, well, dang, I didn't ask, did you have a pending case? You better know now. I ain't gonna be
Right.
able to, do you got a pending case? Do you been to jail, been to prison, halfway house? How do
You
you
have to
know
have
this?
a checklist,
Yeah.
basically,
You really do.
a dating checklist, and ask the questions. And most men don't like you to ask questions. So,
Yeah,
Well, I
ladies,
would,
if they don't want to answer the questions, then move on to
it's
the
a
next.
red flag. Right.
Yeah.
yeah. You know, I don't, I would, mm, I would tend to disagree with that a little bit, but it's from a bias standpoint because I'm a communicator. So I'll let you know up front, you're going to get full transparency. I'm an open book, and there shouldn't be any question that you can ask me that I cannot at least respond to. And a lot of times, this is an interviewing process that no one has mastered.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but I will agree with you that, but let's take another step back. So I have dealt with so many women that don't know how to communicate. So communicating is in a relationship. We're trying to get to know someone. It's like you kind of need that experience. So it's like where do we stop at? Where do we start at? Where's the filter? And we probably all have done a little wrong somewhere. So the tough part is really trying to discern, like I have a framework for dating. I have a framework for moving from step to step to step. And I'm telling you that I go through the courting process. There's been 2 times when I didn't go through the courting process. And I'm going to tell you, both times I didn't go through that courting process, it didn't work out good. It wasn't bad where I got in trouble or anything like that, but it just didn't work out. And sometimes I go through the courting process because I'm going through the courting process to see if we're going to end up in an exclusive commitment where we both agree to it. But
And
that
that
communication,
takes time. What you're talking now, what you're speaking right there, that's mature adulting, right?
But
And
you know, but we don't do that.
yeah, a lot of people are not there. I think we have come to this microwave dating society where everything is a quick fix,
sure.
and it's all pending on sexual activities. It doesn't even care they don't even care what's up here anymore. It's personal gain. What can I get? How fast can I get it and be done? So, as a woman, I think it's important that she needs to know what's important for her. Um, don't dismiss the red flags. If
Mm-hmm.
anything that anyone leaves here tonight, I would say don't dismiss the red flags. The red flags are waving for a reason,
Yeah.
and it is up to you as an individual to address those red flags. Men are not the smartest creatures in the world. So trust me, by day 2 or day 3, they're going to show you who they really are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's up to you as a woman that you're going to perceive it because they don't know how to act. They don't know how to disguise. It's up to you as women. We as women, I think it's important. Do the work, do the legwork. Just because he's wooing you,
Mm-hmm.
do the work. Find out who this individual is. Know who you are sleeping with. Know that you're not sleeping with the enemy, because this is really what she was doing. She was sleeping with her enemy. And so this is an awakening. This
Yeah.
is an awakening for a lot, for men too,
Yeah.
but
Absolutely.
primarily women. This is an awakening because I don't think this will happen again.
No,
And,
she won't let it
or
happen to
if it
her.
does, it's not
Yeah.
going to be to this length, because you will as Diamond J said, you're going to go and you're going to do some homework and you're going to look up the definitions
Mhm.
of
Right.
narcissist is a pathological liar,
Mhm.
Right.
uh, and also psychosis. You
Psychosis. Yeah.
look up all these things and understand the behaviors. I
Mhm.
think that's what's important is the behaviors. And if you Google schmoogle it, there's even YouTube videos out there that will show you.
Sure. That's right. Yep.
So
Yep.
this is, we did this for entertainment purposes, but we also did this for learning, and
Yeah.
Right.
we're all learning each and every day. Um, and it's just up to us to just keep educating ourselves on humans,
Right.
and understanding people's mental state. Very
Mhm.
important.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that we're going to wrap it up. I really appreciate everyone who has participated, has showed up, asked your questions, commented. We really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Jim, for joining. I
Thank you.
appreciate you, Myra, for coming on the
Thank
show.
you for having me.
So, if there is one last thing, I mean, I, as the host, will say, like Myra said, we're don't let first of all, don't let people bully you. That's the first thing, because people are doing a lot on this Reesa Teesa thing, and they're criticizing you. They're talking about people who watch the series.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let people bully you. There's a whole lot of people that are out here bullying adults, that are
Mhm.
bullying other adults. Like, why did you watch that? How did you have time to do that? That's
Yeah.
dumb. That's stupid. Like, stop. Don't let these people bully you. That's the
Mhm.
first thing. If you want to watch it, watch it. If you got a comment, everybody has an opinion, but remember that their opinion is not the authority of you. Their opinion is
True.
not the authority of you. The second thing that I want to say is, like Myra said, go look up these definitions
Mhm.
so that you can talk intelligently, and be able to talk professionally, right? And in a manner where you can hold an intellectual conversation and without calling people dumb and stupid and this and that. And stop name calling people, and let's call it what it really is. This man was a sociopath.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it is.
Mhm.
This girl had low self-esteem. Let's
Yeah.
call it what it is.
Yeah.
Let's start talking intelligently about some of the things that people are going through. And we got to remember that a lot of people have a lot of issues. A lot of people have a lot of mental issues. A lot of people are going through things. They're not telling you.
Right.
Right.
They're not going to tell you that thing that they're not going to tell you, because just like she said, I think she wouldn't have even said all the half of the stuff that she did. I don't think she would have did that even if it wasn't COVID. I think she would have been private and didn't want nobody, because she doesn't want nobody. And this is what women do. They will get these men and then they will go into this private mode because they don't want nobody to know what they're dealing with. They don't want
Yeah.
nobody to know the problems that they're actually dealing with. They don't want nobody to know the drama. They don't want to be talked about. They don't want to be.
But I think it's important though too. That could be another gem, that when you meet a gentleman, I think it's important that you introduce him to your family and your friends. Because sometimes when you're in it, again, you're not seeing everything.
Yeah.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
need someone from the outside looking in. And so I think if she had like friends or somebody in her family to interject, at these different stages, because when we talk about our man, we're going to tell our girlfriends, look, girl, he did so and so, so and so, and so and so. But girl, what you think? We always want our opinions from our girlfriends. So I think if she had someone to lean on or
Mhm.
to go to, it might have not gotten to that point. But again, we can't speak for every woman on the planet. Everyone is going to have their own opinion. So I just say, don't move too quickly.
Yeah.
If it's too good to be true, then it ain't true. That's a
I,
fact.
I would say this, and again, not to be, I want to say combative, but not to challenge you. I would say this. This is what I would say for every female. Every female, I would tell you this: get you a good male friend that has high emotional intelligence, that knows himself, because he'll give you the feedback that you need, and that'll help you come up with some additional questions, research, or what have you. One of the issues, and this is just me talking, what happens, and I talk about these emotional investments, because every time you make an emotional deposit, it draws you in.
Yes.
So what happens when you bring in too many family? Let's call it what it is. All of your family is not on the same level that you are. There's going to be jealousy. There's going to be envy. There's going to be those that want you to have it. There's going to be those that don't want you to have it. There's going to be those that think you should be getting married because you're reaching that age, so on and so forth. And that can bring confusion to you. But if you get that, and it's a tough thing to do. Again, this is not a science.
But
But if you can,
somebody, not saying everybody, I'm saying somebody.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm just
saying to have a male, or it could be a female, but you definitely have to have somebody to not validate what you already know, because 9 times out of 10 we already know it.
yeah,
We know, we just don't act upon it. So if maybe you say to your girlfriend, well, what do you think about this, or what do you think about that, or to a male, from a male perspective or a male point of view, but get somebody's opinion. I think when you
Right.
hibernate with a man and you don't tell anybody, something is wrong,
yeah,
because you don't know him, he doesn't know you. And even for your own safety, girl, if you hear from me in 3 days, I'm cooped up here with so and so. Just
sure,
get somebody's second opinion and say, hey,
yeah,
what did you feel about him? Does he have a good vibe? Do you think he's a cool person? Do you think he got mental, something?
hmm
Right.
yeah. And it's just my recommendation to get the male friend, because it has a lot to do with it has a lot to do with my experience. Interestingly enough, when I talk to ladies, I can almost tell if they're being coached by a male friend. There's an aspect of coaching that male friend does, because as a male, I can tell you how a male thinks. I'm not sure a female can tell you that. And sometimes I think that information, depending, and this is just me, depending on her situation,
Right.
her information may be a little bit biased, a little bit tainted. Maybe she's getting ready to lose her best female friend. And I don't know, again, it's not a science, but if I could tell you one thing to pursue, if you have that male friend that you can entrust in and be confidential with, he is the guy that is going to help you out in those types of situations. Because had she had that and she revealed it, like, to me, I think I would have caught it. I
Yeah.
think I'm analytical enough that I feel confident I could have prevented that situation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
Feedback.
again, thank you for those tidbits. Kim Williams says you guys definitely have to do this again. I love this conversation. Thank you so much, Kim, for joining. I really appreciate it. We as the host, Diamond J, this podcast is called Beyond the Glitter. It is streaming on Spotify. It is streaming on YouTube, and it is streaming here on Facebook. So we go live every Wednesday. And next week, I will have another lady that is similar to Reesa Teesa. She has written a book called Hidden in Plain Sight. And she's going to give you the 9 nuggets that she has come up with for you to recognize the love bombing the love, the love bombing that men are giving, some of the red flags that you can kind of recognize. So we're going to go in depth with her next week. We're going to be able to talk to her. So I really, really appreciate Rob again for sending me that contact, and she agreed to go ahead and come onto the show. For each of you, I really, really thank you so much. Myra, thank you so much for joining. Jim, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. If you want to follow us on Instagram, YouTube under Leader in Heels. You can be able to follow me on Leader in Heels on Instagram, Leader in Heels on YouTube, and then on my personal page is just Diamond J. So again, thank you. We're signing off. Beyond the glitter, and this is where we go beyond the glitter, right? We're talking about all the things that we're talking about all the things that are beyond. So we always show the best on social media, but we're going to have these conversations where we can get beyond the glitter. Okay. So
Sure.
Thank you again for showing up. If you have any other questions, does anybody in the audience have any questions before we go? Going once.
Thanks, Kim. Good night.
Thank you.
Everybody.
You guys have a good night.
You.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So hold on.